What's up, everyone? I'm Bianca Torres, and I'm here with Apartment 5H. I'm joined by fellow neighbor from 4H, Jim.
What up? What up?
He's back. And today we have a special guest. We have Don Tripp in the building.
Indeed. Yeah.
Thanks for pulling up.
Oh, indeed.
How you feeling today?
It's a pleasure. I feel the same way every day.
What's that?
I'm just grateful to be present. You know, I could be in the ground, I could be in a cage. I am in neither, so I'm good.
I hear you, especially lately. There's a lot going on in the world.
Yeah, that too. That
There's a
too.
lot going on.
And shit, at my age, they say jail is for younger men. So, you know, being 40 with a prison sentence ain't a delightful thing either. So, you know, being alive is more than enough for me.
I hear you. I feel like we all feel like that right now. We're going through this hurricane in Florida. You know, prayers go out to everyone.
Indeed, that's
Florida.
horrible.
We have this election. It's just a lot. We have the wars. It's just a lot. So every day
Yeah.
above ground
True that.
is a good day.
It's a blessing.
Indeed.
It is a blessing. And you've been hard at work the
Yeah,
last 2 years. So
indeed.
we were just talking about how you're the patriarch of your family,
Right.
Because we were talking about how Self has all this stuff around us, dolls and chips and nostalgia. I mean, it's cool, but it's a lot. And you were
Yeah.
saying that your mom actually has
auntie.
this amount,
Yeah,
but
my
it's for
auntie.
you.
Yeah, she man, she cherishes it. You know, she got like I said, she got everything. She got the albums the world never saw, all the mixtapes, like she got every kind of memorabilia you could have. If there was you know how they got like sections in museums that you know honor certain people. You know, her living room's like that's like a whole section that just honors me. You know, that's you know, that's something I'm very proud of, something I appreciate.
And you were saying something about the way you were brought up. That
Oh
made you the
yeah,
patriarch.
well I grew up. All my elders were addicts. And what's great about that now, for the most part, how many is it? It's my auntie and my uncle. I say my family tree's kind of complex. So my auntie is really my great auntie,
Okay.
and I got one actually. I don't know I got one uncle and then great uncles. Either way, growing up, they were all addicts, and you know that's not something I'm proud of. That's not something they're ashamed of, and that's why I can be comfortable speaking about it. But now, since I had my first son, might have been a year or two before I had my first son, but majority of my aunties and uncles, really my auntie and two of my uncles, or now two of my uncles. Either way, they've been sober since. So for like the last maybe 16 years, my auntie and my uncle have been sober. So my children have never seen you know, they've never met the version of them that I grew up with. They get a man, you know,
Different
make me a
version.
little emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But they get a pure version of them, or more. I won't say healed, because you know it should take a lifetime to heal from some things, and they've been through some shit. So I ain't saying none of this to say, you know, or to speak down on them, to speak ill of them. I think everything they've been through, I learned from, even though I wasn't present. But my kids get to see a version of them and love a version of them that I didn't get to see until I was an adult, and that's why I can appreciate it. I didn't much like being around them as I got older, seeing what I had seen growing up, and as they became more and more sober, that shit just made me so proud. And the shit they been through, no, you good. The shit that they been through, I can't imagine going through. Even though I've been through my own share of shit, like, you know, I understand it, I get it, and whenever I see certain things, I have to. I don't know no other way than to step back and assess it. Like, it's easy to see an addict and say, "Oh my God, you threw your life away," but how did it get there? Like, I don't ask these questions, but throughout my life, you know, addicts have the tendency of telling you the same stories over and over again, And as a child, you get so used to these stories that you start to ignore them, or you don't even hear this shit go in one ear and out the other. I don't know why, but I've always been I don't know. I always been the kind of person I want to understand it because I don't get it, and I don't do I don't do any substances. So I wanted to understand it, and as time progressed, I started taking the pieces of these stories and putting them together. And then I started correlating them from the aunt and uncle I'm referring to are brother and sister. So that alone tells you something. There was something going on for them both to end up in such turmoil, and for them both to be healthy now, like they helped each other, become clean and sober. And I started putting the stories together, the story from you, then the story from you, and I started putting timelines together. I'm like, well, shit, y'all experience, because they don't sit and tell you, hey, I've been through this and this. We conditioned as people to, especially when you the provider or you the patriarch at that point, you gotta hold that shit in. You gotta tough it out. And the world not only the world, but the people around you don't understand what you went through, and especially with it being, like I said, it's my great auntie and uncle. So the time between them being children and me being a child is so very far in between. So there's no way I would have known what happened had I not known, had I not sat and listened. And from being able to understand the shit that they've been through, to see them overcome it now. And sobriety is not an easy task, especially for an addict. For me, my whole life, I've had to deal with peer pressure. I'm fortunate enough to never have fallen victim to peer pressure. Mm-hmm. I just never really much cared about what people thought of me. If y'all doing it, that's cool, and you can do it. I don't shun you. We ain't gonna not kick it because you do it. It only get to that when it's extreme. When it's stuff you do, I just can't condone. Right. And even then, I can't tell you how to live. I got no judgment towards you. That's how you living. So be it. I don't know what you're going through. For all I know, something. Even when it comes to siblings, we don't spend 24 hours together, especially once you're a certain age. So I don't know what you've experienced. I think I just hit the mic. But either way, it could be something you physically experienced. It could be something you're mentally experiencing. It could be just a way you're feeling that you may just misinterpreted something and it bothers you. And again, we condition, especially in my household, as a man, when I was younger, when I was a boy, and I told my mama how I felt, mama called me a pussy. I don't know if I can cuss on here or not. Yeah. Okay, well, no, that's how I was. That's how she responded to that. And I ain't have a father, so I had nobody to vent to, so I had to vent to myself. Mm-hmm. So as a father, that's the first thing I teach my children. You can express your feelings to me. I'm not going to pamper you. But at the same token, I'm not going, what they call it, shit, gaslight or some shit. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make you feel like your feelings don't matter, because they do matter. Just because you're a child don't mean you're not a person. You're still a human being. And now I had to learn that the hard way. So, my aunt and uncle growing up, they were in the same environment, so to speak, as far as being able to be open and to share. Now, this is a time when you say something happened to you. If you tell an adult, or you tell your mama that an adult did something to you, your mama say, get the hell out of here, you're lying. In real life, that's the first person you should be listening to is the child. Right. And again, this ain't I'm not taking a knock at my grandmama. Mm-hmm. The times were what the times were. But for them, it's extremely difficult to remain sober. You got to consider that their world is still what their world is. Imagine how many things or how many people you got to disassociate yourself with or from, because you want to remain healthy. Right. The smallest things might, like your favorite team won the ball game and you just wanted a beer. Well, at least that's how you used to be. You used to want a beer. So now you got to find shit to substitute that with. Now you drink grapefruit juice excessively or some shit. Right. But that's what I mean. Like you have to, that's a tough task. And we all have trying days. So what happens on the day that, this day was so tough, even if all that happened today was, recollection. You might sat and something popped up on the, people that still watch what shit we all do. We all watch what we grew up watching. I see you got the Martin thing right here. Somebody still watches Martin. That shit don't come on no more.
Right.
you know, our elders are the same way. They sit and watch them fucking black and white movies, and my auntie called it the Cartwrights. Was called Bonanza. She said, right, that's what I mean. She sit and watch that kind of shit, and you know, you never know, something in that might have triggered a memory. You know,
Sure.
she might remember when this episode aired, or you know, this episode was playing when something happened in her life. And right now, you might, you know, we don't know it because we not in her head, but you don't know she, you know, right now she's fighting the urge to want to get high because it just triggered a memory in her head that fucks with her. And you know, it's shit that happens as we grow up that, you know, those incidents happen that remind her of it, or incidents happen that you know, trigger your defense mechanism. Like, you know, you want, now this certain child you keep closer to you, and we don't know why growing up. We just assume that's your favorite. But in real life, you saw something occur, and you knew that this child needed to be protected more than the others needed to be protected.
Right.
But either way, I had to learn that. Like, you know, I didn't look at, as a child, I looked at them like they was addicts, like, you know, they junkies and alcoholics. And then as I grew older, I had to, you know, I'm like, wow, there's a reason for this. It's a cause and effect. Of course, you know, we taught that when we were kids. I'm like, something led to this. And I still got uncles that, you know, that's, you know, their life still ain't together, but that ain't my place to say when you should get it together.
Right.
That's all on you, because, you know, you got to put your own pants on in the morning, not me. But either way, from seeing that shit, you know, it's a delight for me. Like, it made me proud of them. And I've learned, you know, I don't know when I learned it, but as of late, I've learned to not say what I feel. So, you know, if something happens, like, I got an uncle now who's been an alcoholic all my life, and for like the last 2 months, he been clean and sober. And when I found this out, I waited about 2 weeks before I called him, because the last thing I want to do, I've learned from experience, last thing I want to do is congratulate you, because what you're doing ain't a feat, at least, you know, to you at least. You know, what you're doing is work. That shit take every day. Shit's hard. So the last thing I wanted to do was make light of it. I want to make it like, you know, I don't want to make the situation feel smaller than it is. And, you know, it's easy to say congratulations, and then, you know, I'm going to go on about my day, but you still, you know, that's a constant battle for you.
Fight,
So I waited a minute, and then one day I looked up, I'm like, damn, you know, I meant to call him last week. So I just said, fuck it, I'm going to call him now. And that's what I try to do now, instead of, I don't, you know, fuck waiting till later on. You might not get her later on. So I called him then, and I don't call him. I don't call him because he's up until now. He's always drunk. So the conversation don't really make much sense.
Right.
I answer when he called, but I answer all calls. And when he called, once I find out he drunk, you know, I'm going to let him talk for a second, then I'm going to get him off the phone. So this particular day I called him, and when he answered, he was shocked. He's like, nephew. I'm like, yeah, what's up, Unc? You know, you know, so-and-so told me, you know, about the journey you're taking. And he was, basically, I called him and told him I was proud of him. And I understand, I may not be able to relate to the battle that you're taking right now, but I understand. And I'm proud of you for even trying, because to even try is a tough task.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know this shit, that's all you ever really known. And when I called him, shit, we both ended up crying. And he was like, man, you know, it started when I was a child. My mama was, you know, I knew this, but, you know, like, my mama was an alcoholic. Becoming that shit was like hereditary. So, you know, before I knew it, we on the phone for like 30 minutes, and, you know, we both crying. He telling me how proud of me he is. And I'm telling him the same. Like, you know, you may not see what you're doing as an accomplishment in my eyes, but in real time it is. And like I told them, you know, for my kids to see a healthy you, that means everything to me, because you are, you know, these are the people that I love. And so, you know, so for my kids to be able to love these people the same way, especially with them being, well, technically with them being great aunts and uncles, you know, our time on this planet is as limited as it can be. You don't know if your tomorrow is tomorrow or today. So, you know, with that, you know, I try my best to appreciate the people around me as much as I can, and as out loud as I can. Because a lot of times, even for me, like, you know, that, as you know, a moment in my life I needed it. I needed to hear that somebody was proud of me. And for a long time, I just wanted to hear it from my mama. I never really heard it from my mama. But I had to learn that even if she's not, or even if maybe she is and she just don't know how to say it. Right. We all were raised differently. And for my mama, she had it tough too. And a lot of times I think when it come to that kind of shit, even when it's in my music, a lot of times they listen to, like, of course my well, I won't say all of them not, but you know, my elders in my family not avid listeners of my music. They hear songs when they hear them, so that means they don't hear everything. Right. So they might hear this one song and it's rap music, and they grew up on Teddy Pendergrass. So you know, this shit's hard to retain for them. So they hear bits and pieces, and a lot of times they hear pieces that stick out, but it stick out the wrong way. So they might hear a song that say, like I just said, you know, all my folks were addicts. And they like, damn, but you know, we're doing better now. You didn't hear the song that says the opposite. You don't hear the song that says I'm proud, because I don't make the music then just go say, hey, Auntie, you know, listen to this song. That's kind of cringy for me. But either way, with that, I think sometimes what happens, they look at you know, we all do it, I guess, because you know, even like on your the internet, on your social media, the negative comment is always gonna glow in the dark. Right. You know, you might see a million positive ones, and then that one negative might hit a nerve. And you're like, you know, I'm doing so great. Why you keep finding a way to pick at me? And sometimes that happens in real life. You ain't really picking. You just, you know, it's just that's a sore spot to that person too. And you know, like I think, like right now, me and my mama, we haven't spoken. We're not on the same wavelength in any shape, form, or fashion. And I think that's partially because she assumes that I see her a different way, because I understand well, I won't say everything. I'm sure it's things she's been through that I don't know anything about. But I think she see it. That's how she look at it. She look at it like, if I say we was broke, she take that like she ain't do everything she could do.
Right.
But in real time, I know better. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we was broke because my mama was lazy. I'm saying we was broke because no matter what my mama did, the circumstances was still, you know, the cards were stacked against her. Right. And I think sometimes, she, you know, it's kind of hard to see the positive when the negative's a sore spot for you already. And I think that's part of our disconnect. And I think that she was raised the way she was raised, so she raised me the way she was raised.
Right.
And even that I use as a tool to not do the same to my kids. Not to say she did it wrong. There ain't no real way to know how to do this shit, especially when you're raising kids. Because, you know, the first year of having a child, you know, you're getting used to, like, diapers and shit. And then, you know, second year, you trying to baby-proof your house. Because they're walking. Right. Then, by the third or fourth year, you got to start watching how you talk, because they start repeating. They don't say table, but they'll say shit. Mm-hmm. So, you know, by the fourth year, now you're trying to teach the child how to, you know, acclimate and get ready to start being in school.
And be in society.
Right. But you get what I'm saying? People think that parenthood, once you step in it, you got it. You don't got it, because it keeps changing.
And you're human. You're still human.
Exactly. And, you know, again, there's no fucking... They got a lot of books. Everybody writes a book, but nobody's a true expert on how to raise a child. Right. And every child is different. This one child, I might not have to tell her to stop drawing on the damn wall. That ain't, they don't even pop in her head. But this one is drawing on the wall, so what do? Do I keep popping her for drawing on the wall? Do I keep putting her in a corner because she's drawing on the wall?
Right.
No, I go and buy, what they call it, an easel. I bought an easel.
Drawing easel.
Right, now you got something to draw. And, you know, it's got that little roll of paper thing on it. So you can switch. You want to draw? Here you go. This is where you draw. This is the proper place to draw.
Right.
Right, that's what I'm saying. These are things that we weren't taught when we was growing up. The way I was taught,
we didn't have choices when we were growing up.
No, you didn't have an option at all.
We didn't have options.
Nobody said, hey,
our
what you want
parents
to eat?
didn't ask, how do you feel about this situation?
No.
Like, this is the situation, and that's that.
Children are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I take those kind of things as a parent, and you know, I implement that. Like, you know, the last thing I want to do is raise my kids the way I was raised. Now, of course, there are some great moments from, you know, me, you know, from my upbringing. and I try to instill that. But at the same token, I try not to put the small things that that fucked me up.
Right.
And I think a lot of that shit happened, it always happens, even from my elders that just never had the space to say it or stop it. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I'm not broke. I'm not struggling to survive. So, I have the means to actually take care of my children and give them a different environment to grow up in. My kids ain't never been to the ghetto. They don't know nothing about living in the project. They don't know what a Section 8 is. And like that's a goal for me. And again, there's no kind of knock or discredit to any of the people that raised me, because I feel like if I didn't grow up the way I grew up, I wouldn't be who I am.
Right.
And
absolutely,
same ball. Like I don't know where I heard it at, but it was like it said I don't know what verbatim, but basically it was like one generation goes through some shit. That generation builds the man that changes the lives of the people in his family. And then that person makes it too easy for the next generation. And that generation ends up fucking it all up for the next generation. And that generation ends up being the one back in poverty. So that was the chain in my head. That's the chain I want to break. Yeah, I want my kids to be able to have a better life or a better upbringing than I had. But at the same token, I don't want it so easy that you don't appreciate what you have.
Right.
That's an everyday battle. That's not, I can't just say, hey, you gotta value your money. Hey, this shit costs money. You gotta appreciate it. That's something you gotta instill. That shit. That's a day-to-day battle itself. Because my kids, everything costs money, and they learning that now as they get older. Because everything they like even on them, they iPads and they Nintendo Switches.
All the technology, yeah.
Right. It's everything costs, and so now I had to teach my kids that. Now what I'm teaching them is tax. Like, my daughter, and I got the shit on Apple where it's got like, as a parent, I had to approve the apps. So when they request approval, my daughter, she's 12, she'll send me $1 because the app that she want is $1.99. I'm like, no, sweetheart, that's like $3. You need to understand that you're sending me a portion of what your app really costs. Right. So if you want this app, you need to send $3. Now in real life, I can't do shit with $3.
No,
and
but it's
I'm
the
gonna end up giving it back to her. But that's the point, right?
It's important
because at some point you're gonna get old enough. You're gonna want to go in the store. Well, she old enough now, but when you go in the store and that price tag say $1.99, when you get to the counter, you need to be expecting to be paying much more than that.
Maybe
right? That dollar ain't gonna do it. They're right. So But that's what I mean when I say that. Like that's a ongoing lesson. That's not something you just learn. Shit, it took me damn near 30 years to value it, and it's different for them than me because nothing was given to me, and that's the battle. I try not to give it to them, if that makes sense. Like even if it's small things. You want the so and so, then all right, well. Y'all gonna have to make sure every room is clean this entire week. I shouldn't have to tell you to clean anything if you want the video game that costs $80.
Right.
And again, the 80 doesn't do anything for me, but at least I feel like those small pieces is what build the piece. And shit, now I got a daughter that so whenever she come over, she start washing clothes, and she's 13. And I'm like, man, we call her the mama, and I had to teach her. That even though she's more responsible than the rest of them, and you're not their mama, and you can't talk to them like they're your children. They still your siblings, and you don't have any authority. You're just a child. Same way they're children. Just because you're more responsible, that don't make you superior.
Yeah, it's easy to blur the lines.
Right.
Because I'm an older sister, and that used to happen to me.
But that's what I'm saying. That's it. Again, like I said. Parenting is that shit it changes. Whenever you think you've accomplished it, you got it. It switch up on you, and that's a new thing. And now I got teenage girls, and the internet exists. So that's a whole other world. And all of that. Like I said, I think all of that is who makes me who I am, and that's what I keep into perspective. That everything I do is building them. and they soak up from, people assume that your parents are who raised you, and you know how they say it take a village to raise a child. Problem is now you're a village, you got to include the internet into your village because it's there, whether you want it to be there or not.
Or the village minds their business, because now we grow up in a day and age where people is like, they mind their business, they don't get involved.
Exactly.
Like,
Not everybody's in your business. And
they're in this business. When it comes to like in person,
Right.
they'll record some shit, but they won't do anything about it. But when
Exactly.
it comes to here, they're in your business.
Oh,
you
indeed.
know?
But that's what I mean. Like that's a aspect that didn't exist when we was growing
Right.
up. I didn't have to worry about that. I think I said that a minute ago. Like, if I had a fight at school, that fight, it lasts for as long as my suspension is. Now, that shit's
Shit lasts
permanent.
forever.
Right. They bring that shit up a year later. And, people be like, this
A
clip
year ago.
live, right. They be like, this live rent free in my head. That go
Yeah.
the fight where you got a black eye is back on the internet again. And those are the kind of things that I had to do. I don't know how you deal with that, so I got to learn before I can teach it.
Right.
And so all that shit is kind of, like I said a second ago, that's how I look at life. Like every day, you gotta adjust, you gotta adapt, and you get some curveballs, and it just is what it is.
I want to bring it back to because there's a balance, right? When you grow up, I didn't grow up in a perfect environment. Probably a lot of people haven't.
Right.
So it's kind of like when you get older, right? You start piecing together your family's history, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is why they did this, or this is why they were acting like this when I was little.
Exactly.
And you get older and you understand it, and you even forgive, and you build this new relationship.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
take away from your experience. And sometimes, 'cause even I feel you. Like, you'll bring up a situation, and it's like you don't mean to make them feel bad, but this is your reality.
Right,
Like,
it happens.
you experienced it. I'm not blaming you now. I understand why you acted this way or you did this, but that doesn't take away from my
erase it.
experience.
Yeah.
Like, this happened, and as a result, maybe there were certain situations that occurred with me because it's a trickle effect.
Exactly.
So it doesn't mean that you don't forgive your family,
Right.
because I feel like that's what you were trying to get at. It doesn't mean that you don't forgive them,
Right.
and you're not happy to have them a part of your life, but it doesn't take away from your experience.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think and I can't force a person to, well, none of us can. I can't force you to learn because I'm learning,
Right.
but
Right.
that's part of it. I have to accept the fact that, how you are, there are instances, there's a reason why you are how you are. And other things affected you. And you got to understand, or you got to make your peace with the fact that all those things that affected you affected me because of how it affected you.
Right.
So, we both got to make our peace with that. And I try not to come off, I don't judge anybody anyway, but I try not to come off judgmental because, a lot of times that's what happens. You'll think I feel a kind of way about you because of what you've been through. But, I understand. Your life was your life. I don't know what you experienced. We could all walk out of this room and one of us trip over a cord and the rest of us didn't. But you just experienced something that the rest of us didn't experience. That's just how the world works. So, I couldn't dare say you're supposed to be one way or you shouldn't be the way you are because I don't know what turns you into that. And shit, my prime example, me and my brother were raised together. Every aspect of me, of our childhood was together, but I don't know what he experienced when he wasn't with me.
Right.
Especially once we became old enough to go and do our own things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to you yesterday. When we became adults, we didn't speak every day. We didn't see each other every day. And we were brothers, so we love each other. So, when we see each other, we embrace each other. But, I don't hang with him. I don't, my brother did, I don't mean to speak ill of him. I don't really think it's nothing ill to say. My brother used to party. He did drugs, alcohol, he enjoyed himself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what he did, I wasn't really into. So I couldn't be around for much of what he did because, I ain't here to judge you. And I don't want to sit here and judge.
And that's
yeah,
okay.
But
You ain't into it.
I think a lot of people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to say, all right, y'all for to go out and have drinks. I don't drink. So, y'all go enjoy yourselves. I ain't here, oh, y'all still in here drinking. That's all y'all do. No, I don't really give a shit. As long as you contain yourself when you're around me, then I'm fine. Now, if it become, you become belligerent, I ain't going to tell you why you drunk because that defeats the purpose. Right. But tomorrow, I'm gonna say,
So
hey,
what?
hey, bro, you was tripping. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, that's the it's 34th time you done that while you was high or you was drunk or whatever. You need to check that. Now, I can't tell you what to do, but what I can do is if you continue in this behavior, then, right, I got to, and I still love you. Right. But, that's how I grew up, though. I grew up, I would see my uncles if they were sober. I loved being around them. The second, the second the high kick in or the drunkenness kick in, and I want to be around. And as a kid, I didn't have a choice. This is just where I'm at.
Right.
I can't leave. I don't run away. Back then they used to say we're gonna run away with the stick and the picnic.
With the little pouch.
Right, but shit, where the hell is we gonna go? Right. So once I got old enough to not want to go, I didn't go. But I do the same thing when it comes to friends and and siblings. If you do shit I ain't really into, then do your own thing. I don't. I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't do. And again, I don't know what battle you're facing. And I would love for, we can sit down and discuss it, but even then, I can't make you be ready to do that. And just because I'm open and understanding don't mean that you are. And the thing you might be the most judgmental about is your own shit. Right. I ain't worried that we're going to sit down and you ain't going to like what I got to say about me or how I feel. Sometimes it's you that that you the person that you got to deal with. And some of us ain't ready to deal with ourselves. So, I don't go into all of that. I just know how to, I just know how to, to keep my distance when I need to and not become alienated while doing it. Like I ain't, we ain't kicking it because you're drinking. I mean, we ain't kicking it while you drinking, but not because you're drinking, if that make any sense. So, I ain't saying nobody got to live the way I live.
But that's okay. They have to, but I think that in retrospect, because you're understanding that this is
they
what
got
you
to
do,
be understanding.
They have to understand you too.
Yeah, that's the only way we merge. And when that's not a mutual thing, then that's when our disassociation become a disconnection.
Yeah.
Like we ain't rocking no more because you feel like
you can't always be the one understanding everyone else and no one.
Right?
Understands
I can't ever be. It's got to always be a two-way street. And if it's not a two-way street, then it's a dead end. And we ain't rocking. If that's what it is, then so be it. I feel like the most important person outside of as a father, my children are the most important people on the planet to me. But the most important person for me to protect is me. Because if I don't protect me, how do I protect my children?
Self-preservation.
Right. So
and who's gonna protect you also?
That's what I mean. Right. If I don't do it, then then that eliminates me. And if I'm not present, who takes care of them? Of course, their mothers would take care of them, but no, there's nothing like having a father. Same as there's nothing. I'm not taking any credit from them. I know I'm gonna get attacked for this at home. I'm not taking any credit from mothers, but I think you need both. And me not having a father, even though I learned how to adapt without one, don't mean that I didn't need one.
That's right.
I just learned how to survive without it.
Did you have any male figures that helped you out coming up?
I had to learn from the uncles that, I had to take pieces from it. I see what to do and what not to do. I see more of what not to do than what to do. But, I just had to, that had to be, my lesson. I had to learn from them in that manner. Like, they taught me things that, like, street shit, they definitely taught me the street shit.
The safe place you could talk about.
But they didn't teach me how to be a man. They didn't teach me how to be responsible. And that's not their fault. That was my father's fault. My daddy was supposed to teach me this, not my uncles. My uncles were supposed to be teaching their sons this. And, even that, like I understand that, like we were saying a second ago, I don't want my daughter to think that she's supposed to be the parent. She's not the parent. My children got both parents. May not be in the same household, but they got both parents. So, even that, I don't blame my uncles for not raising me because that wasn't their job. They was living their lives. They didn't make me. I was their nephew. They loved me. They embraced me. And in no shape, form, or fashion did they mistreat me.
Right.
But
they're not your father, though.
Exactly. That wasn't their job.
Right.
So I didn't have that. And I didn't understand how important that was because it didn't exist. I didn't even understand it. So as I got older, to start seeing, like I got friends whose fathers were in their lives. I got some that haven't, but I got some who had a dad. The whole time I've known them, they had a dad. And you know, that shit was like, it was mysterious to me. I'm like, damn, I ain't, you know, that's kind of cool. Okay, I ain't know, I don't got nobody to go teach me how to put condoms on and shit. I don't know, you know, I ain't have that space. So seeing it, it gave me a different. This is, you know, before I became a father, but it gave me a different value for a father. I had no value for one. I had never seen one. I don't know how that is. So, you know, as I started seeing other people, and then you know, I got friends that start having kids before me, and to see, you know, how much that changes your life, and then having children, like, you know, I don't know how it does it or when it does it, but it just do it, you know, a switch click, and you got to become a different kind of person, because you got to fend for another person now.
Right.
And, you know, all of that, I learned from all of that. I didn't, you know, the male figures I had weren't ideal. I'll say that. So, like I said, I learned from the mistakes more than I made, more than I learned from the successes. Like, I don't have,
Role model.
yeah, I don't have any role models that aren't vicarious. Like, you know, my role models became, you know, musicians. And, I mean, my musicians became my role models. I say that. So, you know, I was raised by the music I was listening to. And even with that, like I say, you know, my elders taught me a lot. I wouldn't dare say they didn't teach me anything. And I won't say they didn't raise me. It just was, you know, it was things that as I got older, being a male and being a black man, it's certain shit that I should have known or should have been taught that I wasn't taught. And, you know, I had to learn it, because how do I teach it to my son if I don't know it? And in a lot of cases, like I said, I was expressing my feelings to my mama, and my mom was like, "You're a pussy."
Yeah.
But she ain't know no other way.
Right. She was trying to toughen you up probably in her head.
Right, but how would she know how to raise a man? How the hell I'm going to turn him into a man and I'm a woman? So you know, then that bothered me. That, you know, and of course it still stick with me now, because I was a child when this happened. But she didn't know no other way, and that's how I approach it now. Like, you know, it's got, for me, it's got to be another way. Yeah, I may not know another way, but it's got to be another way. So I try to find another way, and you know,
looks like you have so far.
Well, yeah, you know, so far so good. But I think, like I said, that's because I learned from the errors. You know, all the shit I seen that I didn't like, I didn't sit and just say, "Oh, I don't like that." I said, you know, I'm gonna make sure that I don't continue that. That's the last thing I want to do. Like, I cuss, but I don't cuss at my kids. I cuss to my kids. I guess you would say that.
There's a difference.
It's a big difference.
There's a big difference.
Big difference.
And I don't yell at them. Like, you know, these are the things that's how I grew up. My mama, that's the only way she knew how to talk. I was amazed that she wasn't hoarse every day. But it's only, you know, she only knew how to scream, and she only knew how to cuss us out. So, and again, I'm not taking no shots at them. That's the only way she knew.
This is your experience, though.
Right, of course.
Yeah, it's their
But, you know,
experience.
that's how I am with my kids. And, you know, I don't, that's the last thing I want to do. The last thing I want to do is make them feel the way I felt when it was occurring. And like I said, still some great attributes from my mama, you know, from raising me, that I implement. But, you know, some of the things that I experienced that left a mark on me, I try to make sure that I avoid that when it comes to raising my own. And I got 8 kids, so it's tricky.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, you were busy these last few years.
Well, I got 6 biological children. I got 2 children from I guess previous relationships. Those mothers already had a child, and then we had a child.
Okay.
So for those 2 children, I'm basically the only father they knew. And, you know, it is what it is. Just because we not together no more, I couldn't dare. I don't know how to say you're not my child no more. You was my child for the 3 or 4 years then. How do I switch it now? How do I not call you and say happy birthday? What do I say when you call me dad? Hey, I'm not your dad now. Don't say that no more.
I mean, some people do, but like,
yeah, some people
that's
do.
commendable of you.
But I couldn't. I don't know how to do it. I didn't have a dad, and if I'm the only thing, you know, the only father you know to remove me from your life, I'd be removing the only father you got.
Right.
And if that's what this is, then so be it. I'll take that. I'm fine with that.
See, some people do, like what you experience in your childhood. It goes either way, right? You either do everything you can to do the complete opposite of what you experienced,
Or you do everything you can
the
to
same
change it.
shit
Yeah.
and you go down the same path.
Uh-huh.
Have you spoken to like a therapist? Like, how have you gotten through the? Because it's kind of like childhood trauma, right? Like, we all have
I
it.
guess you would call
How
it
have you
childhood
dealt?
trauma.
How have you dealt with that?
Oh no, I don't see no therapist.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess the music is the therapy for me, and
He got a record, Letter to My Son. That shit got me through all kind. I used to put my baby mother in the car. Everything I wanted to say, he said it for me. I turn it up and just ride. She be like, "That's
Oh,
trying
man.
to talk to me."
well, I think
Stupid bitch! I just want to see my child.
somewhere in my life I learned how to channel it, I guess, to let
Okay.
all the shit that I've been through come out in the music and not come out in my real life.
Okay.
It was tough for a long time. Like, you know, been in a lot of fights, and some of them were uncalled for.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, I didn't know no other way to
Like
respond to
misplaced
certain
anger?
things. Well, definitely that too, but sometimes people say things that they don't understand the value of, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That
Like,
does
you know,
make sense.
growing up, and when we was growing up, the thing to check each other, I don't know what y'all call it in New York. In Memphis, you call it checking.
Yeah,
When
we
you
do.
talk about each other, somewhere they call it like shooting the dozens or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All right.
Shooting
Well,
the
you know,
shit,
when
man.
we was kids, the number one thing to say to check somebody was, "Your mama a crackhead."
Oh, that
Except-
was big in the 90s, especially.
Except my auntie is a crackhead. So you insulted me and you don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Except I don't know how to tell you you just insulted me other than
Punch you in your mouth.
violence.
Yeah.
Right. And the way we were raised, it was a few of us, might have been about 12 of us, but we would talk come one, come all. Like we learned the lesson very fast. One day we was outside, like I said, a lot of us, we let my I only have one biological brother. He was my older brother. We're outside and he got to fighting with somebody, and we let them fight. We children. We let them fight, and we come in the house and we talking about this fight, and my auntie come in. I spent a lot of time in my life with my auntie, so even though she was an addict, that's where all the family members drop their children off. Right. So so that's how we grew up. That's a lot of times when I say my brother and my sister, I'm referring to my cousins. We grew up in the same space, and this house wasn't big enough for all of us. So we all grew up sleeping in the same bed or on the floor, and we all got to make pallets. Like, that's how we came up. So we in here talking about the fight, and we discussing it. And my auntie came in, she was like, "Who was out there fighting?" Of course, we all threw him under the bus immediately. "Oh, it was Rick." She was like, "He was out there fighting who?" We named the person. And then she went and got the switch. So gazillion switches, because, after beating one person with a switch, you're going to need a new one. And she whooped all our ass except Rick. We was confused.
Giant help.
Right. So when she got through whooping our ass, everybody's in here whimpering. And she came back and said, "Do y'all know why y'all got your ass whooped?" And we like, "No, we have no idea why we just got it." He didn't. She said he was out there fighting, and y'all let him fight by himself. So there's a whole world ready to kick your ass, and y'all gonna help him? She said it's a fight. Ain't we in there talking about fair fight? She said, "Where was it?" She said, "Was a referee outside?" I'm like, "Hell no, no referee out there." She said, "Ain't no such thing as a fair fight. You supposed to help your people. That just is what it is." Mm-hmm. So we learned that fast. After that, we probably exploited it. You gotta, you upset me, and when this happened, it's gonna be what Drake say, 20 v1. It's guaranteed. And I think at some point I had to learn, as we got older, that became more dangerous. Mm-hmm. Cause as kids living like that, it's only a certain amount of violence going to come from that. Then you get older, we become teens, and we're like 19 and 20. Now 20-year-olds stomping you out, you might die. So now I got to be the level head. I got to say, "Oh, let's try to defuse this, because if it go there, we're gonna jump you, and we might kill you." A couple of us are bigger than each other. Like, he might be younger than me, but he 2 times bigger than me. This might go all the way left. We'll all end up with murder charges because we stumped you out. because you bumped into him. You know, that just it
takes
didn't
1
take
second
much
to
for us
change
to
your life.
for us to go there.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, I had to like start trying to diffuse it because it was getting out of hand, and society was. We at a point right now you can't have a fist fight. It's going to lead to a gunfight. No matter how you spin it, it's going to end up leading to gunfire. And if that's the case, I don't want to be the cause of it, or I don't want us to be the cause of it. So I have to, do what I can to prevent it. And that's the other thing. Like even though I'm, pretty knowledgeable when it comes to firearms, if every person in this room pull a gun out when some shit hit the fan, that not only increases the chance that one of us makes the mistake and fires and hit a person that ain't got nothing to do with it, it's enough of us in here that we will fuck around and put each other in danger from each other having guns. If you point your gun that way, you don't know where I'm pointing because I'm behind you. You could move while I'm shooting. I'd have shot you. So we've been through a lot of shit. But either way, those kind of things, I had to learn how to level down, if that makes sense. I had to learn how to channel it because in a lot of instances, I was the only level head. And if I hadn't been present, shit would have went totally, like it would have been unrecoupable. We wouldn't have been able to make it back from the shit that we would have got ourselves into. And it's easy to say, especially as a black man, you got to be ready to go. It's fight or flight. And sometimes we be so determined to make sure that we don't look like bitches in the situation that you wind up with a prison sentence because, you was just trying to make sure the nigga knew not to play with me. And in real life, you could have diffused that and woke up in your own bed in the morning. And that's how I had to look at it. Like, it's people, at some point, like I said, I'm the patriarch. I had to realize that none of us had the father figured out. Same way I didn't have it, they didn't have it. Same way my uncles were addicts. That was their uncles too.
Right.
And now they looking up to me. Now they following my lead. Like Jay-Z say, if I would have grew up to be a doctor, my nephews would have grew up to do the same. Right. So I'm looking like I had to reevaluate my own space. I'm like, now I'm the fucking uncle, even though I'm the brother or the cousin. I'm the uncle now. I'm the even though I wasn't the oldest, I was the most responsible. Like I was saying about my daughter.
Right.
So that's how I had to look. I don't treat them like they my children in no shape, form, or fashion. But I had to realize that they're following us. They following me and my brother. And we night and day. My brother is what he was, because he passed. But he was the complete opposite of what I'm saying I had to become. There was no level head. If she hit the fan, if it's about to hit the fan, he's going to guarantee it hit the fan. And Rick was a true wild card, so it didn't really take much. Like I said, you can bump into one of us, and he took it the wrong. He ain't even the one you bumped into. He took it the wrong way, and now he in your face. When he get in your face, the way we rocking, it's come one, come all. My side is already selected. I ain't never going to pick your side over his in person. Now, when we, right, like, bro, what the fuck, man? You're doing too much. But I can't do that right here. Right here is us against the world. So when the shit hit the fan, I ain't got no choice. Once, if it's, we men, we know when it's about to get physical. It's like it's a boundary. Once they in that certain space, we know this is about to get physical. You either want to kiss or you want to fight. And with that, a lot of the shit we've gotten ourselves into come from that. It come from, shit hit the fan too fast. There was no room for nobody to diffuse it. It's already there. Once people start punching, you can't say calm down. It's not reality TV
Right.
where the fight happen and then 15 people come grab each person.
Yeah, there's no one in control.
Right. None whatsoever. And this shit can go all the way wrong because just because it's 20 of us don't mean it ain't 20 of them. It's 20 of us and we family. It's 20 of them and they're a gang. You don't contribute that. You ain't factor that in. You just feel like it's more of us than him. But you don't know him as a them. And with that being said, you don't know who are with him. Like, we move around a lot, even as rappers. I had to even learn that. That's why I don't do diss records. Because in that, if you diss me, like, rappers had a tendency of saying, of dissing the people with you. Your
You've
niggas
never
is
done,
bitches.
never done a diss record?
Not since I was like 16.
Okay.
But that's why, because I know how I take it.
But what about that song? Because you have a song called Dedication.
It's not a diss record.
That's not but it's different because you seem like a forgiving person, like. But on
I'm not a
Dedication,
forgiving person.
it's talking about holding grudges.
No, I'm not a forgiving person. No shape, form, or fashion.
No.
But it's
So
a
really
different
hold
level of that when it comes to family. The people that raised me. So the things that I would hold against them, so to speak, are on different levels. They not like I could be upset with my auntie because when I was younger, she pawned the Sega Genesis. I could be upset about that. I'm not upset about that. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. That's not a
you don't hold it
right. I'm not. Me and my auntie ain't about to beef over that. I love my auntie dearly. Her flaws were her flaws. I got flaws too. I'm sure. I broke her dishes, left her house dirty, all kinds of shit. If anything, we even. But that's a different thing. Now, if you my partner and I found out you was DMing my gal.
Okay, so there's different levels of grudges.
We ain't rocking.
Okay,
right.
Got it.
And no, I'm not forgiving it. You knew better. I don't care how light you make it. You knew better. There's a line. There's a boundary. Now, I've learned not to make everything violent. So, we might not get into a physical altercation about it. I'm going to check you on it. And when I check you on it, that's the end of us rocking because you knew better. I don't give a fuck who raised you or what you didn't know. With men, you knew that was off limits. If you didn't know that was off limits, that's all the more reason I need to get the fuck from around you. Because what else don't you understand if you didn't understand that?
That's true.
And on top of that, what else are you doing that I didn't, that I haven't caught on to? The last thing I need is a liability. Because again, the way we rocking is come one, come all. So the last thing I need is you to have me in some shit that I don't deserve to be in. Because you don't value me enough. So I got to value me. So no, I don't forgive nothing. You did
it's forever. It's beef forever.
Especially once we're adults, whatever you did, you intended to do. You may not have intended for me to find out, but you intended it, and it was in your best benefit. Now, I don't think that any person has to put my benefit above theirs, but some things are selfish. If you like my gal so much, well, now I'm married, so it's a whole different thing. But we'll say some levels down, just a girl I like. If you like the girl that I'm talking to and we're friends, and you don't think that there's a boundary that you shouldn't cross, then we can't be friends. Because in my head, when you bring, if you my partner, or my brother, my cousin, and you bring a girl around me, I don't know how I do it. It just happens. But I got tunnel vision. I might have seen her 30 times. I don't really even know what she looked like. She's a blur. I speak to her. I embrace her when we see her. If we call her little sis, she's little sis. That is what it is. After you break up with her, she's still invisible to me. I don't know how you really feel about her. And men don't know how to say, yeah, bro, I really loved her. I fucked it up, man. I wish I still had her. Nobody's going to tell you that. And since you're not going to tell me that, I ain't going to create the space where now you see me with her and you really felt the way I just described, but you never said that. You kept the player attitude, man. Fuck them hoes, man. I got plenty of hoes. In real life,
those be the ones that love them.
Right. In real life, you care about that girl dearly. You probably text her 600 times in the last 2 days, but you ain't gonna tell me that. Either way, that's how I look at it. If I crossed that line, I knew what the line I was crossing. I might not know how you felt about her, but at some point, y'all work together. So for me, I don't even see her in that lie. I can't be attracted to her, even if she's. I'm not blind. I'm human. Oh, she attractive. Yeah, okay, good shit, bro. Okay, I can dig it. I'm proud of you. Other than that, I got no interest in your lady. So if ever there's an instance when we discover, or I discover, you got interest in my lady and you act on it, then you knew there was a line there, and you crossed it. That means you didn't give a fuck about the consequences. And if you didn't, then what happens when it's a bigger thing? When it's something that could cost our lives? Absolutely. All you worried about is you. Like I grew up with people. I know people that's in jail right now. They in jail because they got in the car when so-and-so was going to kill somebody. Mm-hmm. He didn't have no intentions of doing anything with him, but he know that's what he for to go do. Man, hop in with me, man. I'm about to pull down on so-and-so. Hop your goof ass right on in, ride over there. He jump out, they get to shooting. All right, now I've seen it go both ways. They jump out, get to shooting. Now the passenger's going to jail as an accomplice. Because it's a
Right.
murder. It is what it is. And your dumb ass knew he was going to go do something. You might not have knew he was going to get out and kill that man. Or kill somebody that had nothing to do with it. And I've seen it happen where they jump out. You went with your partner. He on some bullshit because so and so did something at the club. You don't really know. For all you know, he's telling the truth. You don't really know that he was trying to holler at dude gal, and dude wasn't going, so dude slapped him. And now you're like, man, so and so disrespected me. All you saying, you hell no, we ain't going for that. You hop in the car, you get where you going, and you the one get killed. Y'all pulled up, and niggas got the misconception that they guns stop other guns from working or something.
Right.
Right? You jumped out with them pistols, and you ain't know that they sitting on the porch with pistols. They might not have been waiting for something to happen. But for all you know, something happened yesterday. For all you know, something happened earlier today. Maybe his vibe, he just feel like, no, man, I ain't chilling on the porch without my strap. And you done pulled up and jumped out, and they dump on you before you even get one off. They just killed your partner that had nothing to do with this. All because he ain't know how to disassociate himself from you and your bullshit. Now, if you put him in that predicament, you care more about yourself and your own ego than his safety. When shit like that happened, it was signs before that night. The passenger knew before then that nigga wasn't riding for him. He didn't care about him. You knew that when you went to the club that day and he had enough money to get in, but you didn't, and he got in. He went ahead and went in. Right. You knew that when y'all went to Wendy's and you had some money and he didn't have some money, he wanted you to split it and get him something to eat. He ain't do the same. All them shits is signs. He's showing you right here that we ain't tight like you think we are. We not really brothers. We brothers when it's convenient for me. And if that's the case, then like I said, I can't forgive it. You did that shit on purpose. That's who you are. That's how you rocking. And if that's how you rocking, I don't want to rock with you, and I'm cool. Right. And as far as diss records, like I said, people, when rappers make diss records, they say, yo folks, your niggas is bitches. Everybody with you. You with a team full of pussies. All right, when you do that, what you don't know is that Uncle I just was referring to about being an addict, he was in the streets. That's the only life he know. All he know is violence. I may have learned how to tone it down or how to channel it, but he never did.
Especially these younger kids talk about smoking on the op pack. Like,
right.
Very,
so
very personal.
You get on this record and you just dissed me and the people around me. What you don't realize is one, by dissing me, my uncle who's in the streets, he's very offended. I'm proud of him. What the fuck you mean you gonna do so and so to him? On top of that, you said the nigga, your folks is bitches, your partner's bitch. You know who the fuck you talking to? These people you still can't call a bitch. Like I said, I learned how to channel it. They haven't.
Right.
So what happens now when you at the gas station and you pumping your gas and there's a man you ain't never seen in your fucking life? You don't know you've been dissing them. Because you keep saying tripping them. You keep dissing the people around me. You don't know you're offending this man. Well, right. What happens when he pop you? Nobody will ever be able to solve your murder because they will never know who popped you and why. They don't know you dissed me and it's an uncle I ain't seen in 10 years. He just ain't going to let you play by me. That's or right. He ain't going to let you disrespect him. Like I said, a lot of times you might over evaluate what you got going on. You feel like the whole world knows about you or know what you got going on. You be in a space and you think everybody's laughing at you about whatever happened. But in real life, people don't even know what the fuck you talking about. When you hit a man ego, that shit stick. So, you like I said, you diss this man and it bruised his ego. Now he feel like the people around him gonna think he a bitch.
Yeah, the ego
you said
situation, right?
You never named him, but that's how he feel. That's what he interpreted when he heard that. And now you created an invisible enemy, and those are the worst kind. The element of surprise is a bitch.
Yeah, because you won't see it coming.
Exactly. So that's why I don't do diss records, because I'm dissing you, but I don't know who else I just offended.
Because you know that there are consequences.
Right, this shit can
actions.
Go all the way left. I could be the nigga in Kroger with my kids.
Right.
And your uncle walk up. I don't know your fucking uncle. I don't know I just dissed your uncle on them last 7 songs. I don't know about smoking my op pack that your uncle had to put you in the ground.
That's true.
They ready to go to war about that.
They sure are.
And you making light of it. It's funny to you. And that's what I'm saying. So
it's not a game.
That's why I don't do it. And I try my best to encourage any person that's got a problem with me to bring it to me. And we can have, I truly believe in going our own way. You don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you, that's great. Up until today, me and you ain't crossed paths. That means your life can still take place without me being in it. So I'm like, shit, if you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you, good. You do what you doing, I'm gonna do what I'm doing. Ain't no need for it to go all the way south. We don't gotta have an altercation because we don't get along. It don't even make sense. Every year around Christmas, Pepsi and Coca-Cola beef with each other, on their commercials. They Pepsi will make a commercial and the fucking Pepsi can got a cape on like he's super Pepsi. Coca make a commercial using the same thing and make the Pepsi. I'm sure everybody seen he unzip it. He really a Coca-Cola. And no, they beef out every year. They beef with each other, but at no point in time have you ever heard them say, "Oh man, the fucking Coca-Cola executive got gunned down by the Pepsi people."
Yeah. But they're not being personal about it. That's the difference.
That's why they not being personal, because it's not fucking personal.
It shouldn't. Well, I mean, it depends. Because they commingle in environments. That's the difference too, right?
But that's what I'm saying.
The CEO of Pepsi and the CEO of Coca-Cola aren't partying in the same places, coming from the same neighborhoods.
Sometimes they are.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's true.
And when they are, it don't turn into bloodshed. Even if it's competitive, even if they could be arch enemies, the way they retaliate with each other is buying up ad space before you can get to it. Not pulling up to shoot your grandmama house up.
That's a cultural thing too.
That's what I'm saying. But me being aware of this, I try to do everything I can to avoid it.
Right.
Because I know how ignorant it can get, and in the streets ain't no level head, ain't no reason of reckoning, no or voice of reckoning.
Especially
nobody
depending
say,
on the age. It comes with age too.
Sometimes that's the problem. Like the 50-year-old never knew no better way, so he taught the 20-year-old the same thing, and the 20-year-old's teaching the 10-year-old the same thing. They're growing up the same way. They all feel like you pose a smash on everybody for everything, and that really ain't how you live, unless you're trying to go in the ground or in prison. I know that's cliche. They tell us that all the time. You're gonna be in jail or in the ground. But in real life, that's, those are the two destinations.
That reminds me, I wanted to ask you, because the most recent project is Revenge of the Fallen.
Right.
And you dropped that in September. So what does that title mean exactly?
Well, it was a dedication to people who were peers or are peers that either didn't really have goals and never met their goals, or did have goals and didn't live long enough to reach their goals, or got goals right now and it's just taking a while for them to reach them. I call it the fallen because sometimes that's how you feel. You feel like you not like music. In music they say everybody fell off. If you take fucking 2 months off, you fell off. I don't mean in that aspect. I mean in life. Sometimes in life you feel like you fell off. You feel like you're supposed to be further than you are, or you had aspirations that when I turned 30, I would be this, and this. And I ain't even this. I ain't get the first one done. And in real life, you didn't fail because you didn't accomplish that. Sometimes shit take longer than it take. Right. You got fucking NBA teams that ain't never won a championship. And, they still team. They still go out there and play. They play their heart out. And I wanted to give praise to people who haven't given up. And, and at the same time, pay respect to the people that didn't make it far enough to accomplish what it was that they wanted to accomplish. Like Dolph, for instance. Like, of course, I wish Dolph would have lived a lot longer. And just so the way I make music, whatever's happening in my world is going to come out while I'm recording. And me and Dolph were close friends. So while I was recording this album, his trial was going on. That's why the first song, it mentions Dolph. I try to take what I've learned and express it or utilize it or implement it. And that's why you got records like No Risk, No Reward. And even with that, I'm not saying that you're supposed to go and risk it all to get something. Because if you understand the table of risk and reward, you know that sometimes the risk outweighs the reward, and if so, it's not, the reward isn't worth it.
Right.
And I think, and I felt like that was something people need to understand. You know, the whole objective is to go get paid. Yeah, you know, otherwise, how do we survive? But some of the things that you can do to go get paid, you probably shouldn't do to go get paid. And if that's what you decide to do, you need to understand that your reward was to pay, but your risk outweighed the reward. Right. So if you got 30 years for it,
Wasn't worth it.
right, but you knew that the risk outweighed the reward. You just overlooked it because your reward glowed so better.
Greedy.
Right.
Yeah, and you know that happens to most of us. There's a record on it. I'm very bad with the song titles because I make a new record every month.
Yeah, I see.
I think it's called Words of Encouragement or Encouraging Words. One of the, I think it's Words of Encouragement. But in that record, I explain my outlook on every way you could go get paid. I tell you from the jump, I ain't never really had no job. I sold dope, but just because I sold dope don't mean that's the way to go. There's pros and cons. At some point, you're gonna need money you can rely on. I got no fucking credit because all I did, you know, what I did didn't come with pay stubs.
Right.
So, you know, there's a pro and a con. At any moment, you can go to jail for that. And, you know, laws change every time they vote in new people. What could have got you 5 years last year might get you 25 years now.
Right.
Now they got fentanyl and shit. That shit could kill you.
Whole nother level.
Right. But, you know,
nother
I speak on that saying, you know, if that's what you do, you need to understand that there's pros and cons to it. If you work a 9 to 5, you need to understand there are pros and cons to it. Yeah, you work all week and you make sure you get up every day. You never took a day off. That does not mean that they won't fire your ass. That don't mean that if it's better for the company to hire college children now and get rid of all of the seniority, that they won't do it. They'll do what they have to do. And you'll wind up laid off and complaining, but that's the workforce. That, you know, this is what you signed up for.
Cycle of life.
Right. So you gotta understand that could happen. It's, you know, you gotta be prepared for this. And at the same token, I think at some point I'll speak about being self-employed. Same thing. Yeah, you your own boss, and that's a you know, that's a feat. That's great. But at the same token, since you're your own boss, you gotta wear all the hats. Now, if you gotta wear all the hats, then you know what you could. You knew that if you worked a 9 to 5, if you clock in, you get paid. Entrepreneurship don't work the same way. You are forever
24/7.
clocked in, and this month might be better than
Might
next
don't get
month.
paid.
But last month
Right.
might be the work. Right. It's a high possibility. And when shit hit the fan, it's really on you. You know, ain't no HR department. Nigga.
Right.
You know.
When are you back in New York City, man?
Yeah, because
I
I
don't
know
know,
you
man.
gotta
Make it
go,
happen.
and we
You
had so
gotta
much
wrap
to
it
touch
up,
on,
man.
but I know you gotta go.
Catch
now.
up later.
Man, listen, I never really know. But what we
All
do,
right.
what we do is we make sure, especially when it's, you know, of course we do a lot of these, and you know, shit, y'all do this for a living, same as I do this end for a living. So you know, sometimes when we're doing it, it's work, and sometimes when you're doing it is right, it's a pleasure.
Right.
And whenever it's a pleasure for me, I make note of that. So
Was
like
this a pleasure?
definitely. But that's what I'm saying.
Pause. Okay.
W-
Cool.
When it is, I value all of it, but when it's a mutual thing, if that makes sense.
Right.
Absolutely.
Whenever
yeah.
it's a mutual thing, that sticks to me. So when I make my next run, there's a stop I have to make,
Okay, good.
but I have to
Appreciate
make it because it's a mutual. You have the same respect for me that I have for you,
100%.
and
Appreciate
that means everything to me, especially in this shit. You're gonna see 20 more people in like the next week. Cause new artists pop up every 30 seconds.
They sure do.
So, you know, in this, you gotta appreciate what you got while you got it. And, you know, we've all seen the artists that were popping. They were on top of the world last year.
We forgot them niggas
And,
now.
right, this year, you're like, where are they now? A lot of times that happens because they didn't appreciate when the love was mutual. For them, you know,
That's
all
a fact.
all the shit was the same to them.
That's a fact.
And it's, you know, it's not to me. I think that's why I still exist, is because I know that this shit could go, you know, it could have went left a long time ago.
Right.
And you know, I'm proud that New York embraces me, because you know, coming from the South, that's, you know, it's not easy, especially not having a cosign.
Right.
You know, I didn't come up here with a label head. You know, I'm the person who represents me, and with that, you know, that let me know. the everything I've obtained, all of the respect I've obtained, I got it on my own sleeve, and I ain't get it off somebody's coattail. Right. So like I said, next time we up here, there's a stop we got to make.
No, please come back because we got a lot more to talk about when you come back.
Indeed,
okay?
Indeed.
For sure. Well, thank you for pulling up.
Hey, thank y'all for having me.
Oh, and do you wait? First of all, I know you just dropped. Do you have anything else coming out that you want to plug?
Yeah, October's album is Yours Truly.
Okay.
I don't know which one of them cameras to look at, so I'm gonna look at all three. That one? Okay. Yep. October's album is Yours Truly. November's album, I don't know the title of. And December's album, I don't quite know the title of. But I plan on going 24 for 24. So far this would be 22. So I got 2 more to do. And then 2025, I ain't going, I don't really like to show my hand, but 2020, I'm not retiring, I'll say that. Okay. I'm just getting started. I'm just cranking.
All right, well, you'll be back for either the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th, one of these.
I'm with it.
All right?
I'm with it.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Bye, everyone.